in the series where we discuss the politics of the country as things go on right now, this opportunity enables us to give a voice to at least those members who would not ordinarily have a platform such as this to be in the public domain, to be able to hear their views, to make their views known to everybody out there. I mean, there's no gainsaying the fact that we're on the threshold of a period that is actually one of the most significant, one of the most important in the life of our nation. If we get it right, if Nigeria can manage to get it right this time around, I mean, we're going to benefit from it. But if we get it wrong, in fact, you don't want to start thinking of the consequences of getting it wrong, because it might mean that for another generation that Nigeria is stuck, and Nigeria is behind quite a lot of other nations. And right now, you know, the very best brains in the country. You see them, the very, very best brains, the very, very best products. The most of them have joined what is called the Japa gang, you know, and so you have quite a lot of people who have gone abroad and who are still rushing to go abroad. And one has to start imagining the scarce foreign resources. You know, the foreign reserve has been heavily depleted in order to be able to even meet from a demand alone, you know. So, and when you start thinking about it, what about those who have migrated abroad on healthcare visas? What about those who have migrated abroad on other aspects? You know, so there's quite a lot of things are happening, and it is very important that our youths don't just sit on social media, our citizens don't just sit on social media where they type. You know, it is, I mean, this is an additional platform for people to be able to air their views, to be able to say the way they see, and to be able to influence the conversation, because it is very important that you and I are able to influence the conversation in a very respectful way. I'm not talking of that sort of influencing where, you know, every other person who is supposed to have a contrary opinion must be killed or destroyed, you know. So, but I'm talking about, you know, being able to use the superior, you know, use superior arguments in order to make your opponents, quote and unquote, or those who fall on the other side of the argument, to see your point of view, and to a large extent come over to see things the way you see it as well. And so that is the background, without wasting too much time, because there's going to be a lot to talk about. That is the background for tonight's webinar. And it is my pleasure to already to be hosting a few people. But I will start this, I believe, at a point tonight, just to mention, one of us actually has the birthday today. A very, very important milestone. So at the point, I am hoping that we would be celebrating this person as well, you know, just to, obviously it falls, we don't usually do exceptions when in terms of the birthdays of our members, but tonight falls on a meeting day, on a webinar day, and it does make sense to also, you know, to join this person in celebrating. Okay. I was hoping to go with Shola Fahimi, but I think he's having connection issues, but I think he's probably back now. It's just our nature, the way we usually start the conversations. So I believe we're going to start with Comrade Shola Fahimi. So Comrade Shola Fahimi, we've got quite a lot. I believe those who are doing the arguments, they've actually prepared. We've got a barrister at law as part of the argument. So basically, for our viewers at home and all those who follow this tonight, we're going to do it it's a debate, more or less. Of course, we're not having a debate of the presidential candidates, but we're having a debate of their supporters. We're having some very, very, very influential activists having to speak for and against a particular point of view. So that in the 2 weeks that we've had these sessions on the 2023 presidential elections, we've had, it seemed the persuasions were divided into three mainly. I was expecting that. My thoughts were that, probably all the other political parties we have, their sympathizers, their promoters, quote and unquote. But over the past, over the two, when you go to penultimate weekend and last weekend, it was clear cut that what we had in attendance were APC supporters, PDP supporters, and Labour Party supporters of obedience, quote and unquote. So tonight, we're going to give voice to all these people. We're going to allow them to give vents to their views. Let me start by yielding the floor to Shola Fayemi to present his own, to start it off. And so this is the way it's going to go. Depending on how many speakers we have, we're going to give them 5 minutes initially now, 5 minutes for each person to marshal their points, to put forward their arguments. And then subsequently, we'll give members of the panel and other people who want to contribute, we'll give them 2.5 minutes each. Of course, the key speakers will still be able to come back for another 3 minutes after, or maybe another 5 minutes, depending on our time. So let's start with you, Shola Fayemi. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. I want to sincerely appreciate all our panelists and our speakers for coming on board again this evening. Like the convener said, it's a program, it's an event for us to sell our presidential candidates more to members and most essentially to our audience. But for me, because many have always been saying that I have sympathy for PDP, that I'm articulated, but nevertheless, I don't want to debunk that in absolute terms. But my point this night, I'm not one of the speakers for PDP because I want to try as much as possible to sit on the fence and to interrogate the views of the parties, the articulated, and at the same time the obedient, so as for everybody to be well convinced. Because there's tendency for me to still shift my tent, probably to go with the blah, blah, and at the same time to go with another person. So as it is, I'm open to everybody so as to learn from them. But like I've always been saying, that I think my opinion with that on an average Nigerian on the streets. We want a better Nigeria. We want a society where you'll be more secure. We want a society where there's going to be economic prosperity. We want a country where there's going to be direction. We want a country where there's going to be food surplus. And invariably, we want countries where our leaders will be thinkers. Because what I perceive that we have this time, we only have doers. We have people who are not, who are not truly driven by the vision of giving Nigerians what they desire. But they always tell us what we want to hear, or not doing what is expected. So in absolute terms, they are not leaders because they are not responsive to the need and yearnings of the Nigerians as and when due. But I want everybody to live, to go away from this tentacle, to move away from this pendulum to a better country. All of us knew what our sisters and brothers in our institution of learning have been through in the last 8 months. And as we speak right now, the lecturers are also paid off salary. They are threatening to go on another vacation, another strike. And it's on that time that we heard the Speaker of the House of Representatives saying that the president is actually interested and is going to intervene. The question I asked then is the president not aware that they were going to pay these lecturers half salary? Is it that our president, like he always claimed to be, that he's not aware of the happenings in this country? So as it is, we no longer want this kind of leaders who are not aware of the happening, the kind of leaders who don't understand that we need to give climate change, the priority and the ultimate attention. But rather wait until when flood is beginning to affect people in Lagos, Ibadan, when flood is affecting people in Areku and some other places, that the president will now be awakening to his consciousness to see things that needed to be done. We need people who understand the problems to our solutions, to understand solutions to our problem. We need people who need to, who can communicate audibly. We need people who their body language is going to depict leadership and aura. So these are the kind of people, and that's the person we want at the president of this country. Nigeria is a nation. Nigeria, we want a better country. But at the same time, we don't want jesters to come into the hands of our peers. We don't want to be, to be fed with lies. We don't want people to just play on our gullibility and tell us promises that they failed to do since 2015 to 2019, and beginning to now tell us that those are the same thing they are going to do. So we want people to be realistic. We want realistic leaders. We want people who truly have the foresight, who have the mental capacity, and who have the physical stamina to lead Nigeria. Nigeria is a complex state. It requires somebody who have what it takes upstairs, who have what it takes physically, and who have what it takes, to be able to move forward. And that is what I'm waiting this evening to hear the views of my brother, so as to also derogate them. Like I said, I'm looking at the way that somebody who's obedient to convince me to flow with obedience. And I'm also looking at the place that somebody who is blah, blah, blue, blue, blah. We also convince me to on the reasons why I need to go with blah, blue. So that is just my submission this evening, Mr. Kopina. Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for those for your views. Even though I think your attempt to sit on the fence has actually fallen flat, like a pack of cards. It's without a doubt. I mean, there is no more doubting where you actually sit. In fact, you're not standing. If you're still standing on one side of the fence, at least you can quickly jump over. You are actually sat under an umbrella. And and then employing some very very corny ways of deflecting the attention. But we do know that you're actually sat very comfortably under an umbrella, and you're sipping champagne under the umbrella. So you're sipping non-alcoholic wine, because I know you don't drink, don't you? You don't drink, do you? So so we know where you belong. You are without doubt articulated, and it's absolutely right to actually own up to it. But for me, my worry is, why are you don't want to be criticized or something? But we know you have an umbrella, and you're sat very comfortably under the umbrella, which is your fundamental human right. I was thinking that, okay, because of where you're from, the main man from there is actually an SDP man, and then your state is ruled by APC, and so we're just looking at various, but that's fine. Thank you so much. But I'm hoping that because I'm going to push you the next time when it's your turn to talk again. So I'm just going to give you 1 minute. Can you introduce 30 seconds? Can you introduce speakers? The first person to go forward.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Convener. Like I said, this evening is a very interesting evening. As it is, and before this meeting, we are only able to have 2 lead speakers for bars. I mean, people who are sympathizers of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are able to have, we had Mudashiru, and at the same time, we have Rishamodu Nataladi. But as it is down, I think Richard wanted to take the floor while we are waiting for the articulated apologists, and at the same time, people who also believe in obedience. Like we always say, we want to take it away from the platform. Let's engage us ideologically. Let's engage ourselves based on issues. Tell us why you think BAT is the solution to our problem. Tell us what we know that BAT is going to do differently from what APC have done in the last 7 years. And people also in PDP should tell us that, okay, fine, we left Nigeria better in 2015 than what we are currently. We have what it takes to be able to take Nigeria back to the glorious land and to give us a better direction. And at the same time, our people in obedience should be able to tell me and convince me that other Nigerians watch over the world on the need to let us know that who was the vice president to Atiku in the last 2-3 years. The same person who was still the PDP in the last 1 year, who recently got guns to Labour Party, is now a messiah that is going to lead us out of this doldrum. That is what we want to hear. We want to know what has made to be an angel, what has made to be a saint, compared to what he was in the last 4 years, where he was the deputy to Atiku Abubakar. So as it is right now, we have to give the floor to Richard Natal, who is the lead speaker for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and thereafter we take the conversation and the convener with direct us the way they want us to. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Barrister Richard Nathan Alade. Over to you. You can unmute yourself and let's hear from you. Yeah, that's it.
Good evening, Mr. Convener.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Sholafayemi, our Hebrew Secretary.
Thank you.
I greet every other persons who are here tonight, or this evening, or this afternoon, or morning, depending on wherever you are talking from. My name is Richard Natalade. I'm a legal practitioner, and at the same time, I am a sympathizer, not a card-carrying member of APC, but a sympathizer with the cause and yearnings of our very own Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Well, I have critically examined all the parties who are vying or contesting for the present political offices as it relates to the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And critically examining them, I make bold to say that of all, the only person who seems to stand out presently is the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And what are my rationales for all this, for my disposition, for my choice of candidates? Well, I must say categorically, from onset, I've looked critically at all of them, having held public offices at one time or the other. And I must say that at every moment and time, we can be able to judge fairly as Kelly. Why do I choose Ahmed Tinubu? Ahmed Tinubu is somebody I've respected even before he declared for presidency. I will highlight about 4 or 5 points on my basis for deciding that Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu is the best and only candidate who can at least perform. Number one of it is when it comes to human capital. A leader can only succeed when you can sustain whatever you have done in government. And by successive plan, what do I mean by sustenance? When you are able to sustain, either through promotion of individual who can carry on what you have done, then that makes you a successful leader. Let us look at all the parties or persons who are vying for that office. Who among them can we rank as somebody who has human capital, who has people that are
Okay, I believe his connection has gone bad. I'm hoping that he will be back at some point and he can continue right away. But I mean, this is also part of the things we're talking about. By now, the GSM came into Nigeria around 2000, 2001 or thereabout. And by now, we should actually have, there's no country in the world where there are no internet black spots. But of course, by now, we should be at that point where these things should actually not be, they should be an exception right now rather than being the rule. So I believe Richard is back. If you're back, just go on straight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So looking at all of them, credibly, I must say that Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu stands out as the only person who has mentored a lot of people, who has influenced life positively, who has changed a lot of life in leadership, who has put among all the people, who of them all has put forward among the people the progressives. So sometimes you may not be able to know people who are likely to be the best sometimes, but having worked with many people and having made so many people, some way, you can fairly judge that this person can work well. And I must say categorically, I was opportune to lead a part of the, at the point.
Okay, that's it.
Sorry.
Okay.
At the point in time, one of the deputy governor of a state was impeached. I must say, which is the person of Ali Olanusi. I handled that matter from the lower court to appellate courts, and I must tell you categorically that man, when he was impeached, the purpose or the basis for his impeachment was the fact that he joined another party, which was APC. And I must tell you categorically that from the point of entering into that matter to the point of finishing that matter, he never knew that Asiwaju was the person who sourced for lawyer for him. He never knew. And this was the same person who singularly stood as opposition from the 2003 election till date. You understand? Who stood as opposition and who has never cross-carpet from any party to the other. Who is the person that we can call the person who has given us the country that we have today, that has not degenerated to that particular how can I call it Venezuela or Greece or some other part of the world. This is the only person who stood, and I will say that's by the way anyway. But what am I trying to say? The only person who has the human capital is Asiwaju Tinubu. And now my second point, when we look at their consistency, their how can I call it, their consistency, their stability, Asiwaju stand out number one. You can see Peter Obi has jumped for about 2, 3, 4 parties in the last political dispensations. Atiku Abubakar has joined several parties in the last political dispensation. The only person that has remained when it comes to stability and definition of purpose, I think, is Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu. And I'm able to say that is the only person that I reckon, that I think, some way, because when you are looking at the quality of a good leader, stability and focus and purposeful leadership is also part of it. If somebody can singularly, despite the fact that he's in opposition and he believes in the local government development, and he created the LCDA as the first government to create the LCDA, and the president of the day punished him for more than 24 months, and yet he was able to raise and sustain and pay salaries. Some way, I think is somebody to be lauded, and he has never been cowed. That is my second one. Then when it comes to stability, that is number one. Then when we come to their respective what they have done or achieved in government, I must say categorically that Asiwaju stand out number one. Whoever can rule the complex Lagos can rule Nigeria. If you have Lagos as it is today, it's different from what is here today. Asiwaju came, he managed well. He didn't just manage well, he created a successive plan that has followed the blueprint of Lagos, and it's in charge. You know, that is what is called leadership. The person, you know, we knew how Lagos was when he came on board, and we knew through his government what he was able to attain. All the time, he was acknowledged and a judgment of the best governor in his time. And as at the time he was leaving, he didn't just leave, he also was able to sustain that platform. If he has not done well in Lagos, you will not be able to present somebody and people will buy it from you. If you have not done well, it's not possible that you say, okay, you want a successor and the people will not buy that successor from you. That is what all other candidates have failed to do in their various states. How many of them were able to present successor that was bought from them? None. They made nobody. So that is number 3 points. And another point, when it comes to influence, you know, when it comes to influence across board, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has influence. Like I will link this one to my first point. My first point was that he created, you know, my first point was that he has human capital. And part of that human capital, I will tell you, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu story cannot be written away when it comes to Ekiti, when it comes to Osun, when it comes to Ondo, when it comes to Oyo. Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu's imprints all across, not just in the southwest now, all across to the east, to the north, and to the north of this country, his impact is felt. That is why it is easy for him to have people raise 1 billion in less than 24 hours for him in the east, where he has a strong competitor, because of people he has always have value. At every point in time, whenever anybody is contesting, Asiwaju is there to donate. Asiwaju is there to believe in you. Asiwaju is there to also invest in you as a very good candidate. And this is somebody who has never lobbied for any appointment since he left office. He never said he wanted to be minister. And when you look at the antecedents of Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, you will know that from the time of MKO Abiola, he has been sacrificing for this country. He was to be made the Senate president when he was a senator. He stepped down just because somebody has been appointed as the president. You understand? Coming from the West. And he felt it will fail the interest of the entire Southwest for him to also launch that ambition to be the president or the Senate president of this country. He stepped down. Now, let us look at how he's also he sacrificed his ambition for the present day government, who is Buhari. You know, we might say that Buhari is a failure. He has not performed up to expectation, which I will not agree to, that is a failure. Buhari is still one of the best presidents in this country that this country ever had, save for frustration and some democratic values that also that lessens his performance. You know, he came in with the mentality of a dictator, but unfortunately, he boomeranged. That he even had to sacrifice his head for a year in the sick bed. And you know, his performance in the first time earned him his second term overwhelmingly, even more than the vote he had in second term because of his performance in his first time. The vote he had, that is a topic for another day. You know, even Buhari himself, that Asiwaju supported based on antecedent, meant well for this country. But you know, there are factors, you know, that limits the potential or the whatever you mean as a leader of a country. But that is a topic for another day. Now, let us look at the development of...
Okay. Barrister Nazalade,
yes,
you notice I've given you 10 minutes. And okay. I've added 1 minute to it because of the network interruptions you've had. You're going to have another 5 minutes later. So just hold it where you are now. So I'll quickly go on to... I believe, who do we have there going for the Labour or PDP? Anybody there? Otherwise, I'll jump to... Shalafahimi, could you let us know who is going for who? Or otherwise, we just... Shalafahimi? Okay, I think we're not getting anything from his end. So
hello, Mr. Convener. Hello, sir.
Okay, yes. So do we have Mudashiru in the house, and who is going for the other point of view?
Yes, Mudashiru was once in the house, but I think maybe he had a network issue.
Okay.
He has fallen in love of the years. But as it is now, I don't know, maybe if you have anybody in the house who believe in Atiku or somebody who believe in Obi, but as it is, we didn't have anybody to signify it squarely for those two people. Maybe they are trickling out because we have Barrister Rishamond and Mudashiru. For me,
so maybe they're scared. Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for letting us know.
They might be scared of the batified people.
So Madam Buki, what side do you... Okay, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you for the next 5 minutes. Who do you support, why, and what is... Because the way it is now, I'll be able to give Barrister Richard maybe another 15 minutes. We'll give it another 10 minutes and another 20 minutes, and we'll give him 15 minutes. So it looks like we'll have a bit more time for him. So, Madam Buki, do you want to unmute and let us hear where do you stand in this and why?
Really, my take is the less of the three evils, so to say, because as it is, it seems anyway, there's nothing God cannot do, but as it is, it seems batified people has cleared the grounds, they prepared their homework well. As when you get to almost every corner.
Buki, now you're playing the politician. In fact, now I'm getting scared of you. That it looks like you're a PDP. You're a proper politician. You're playing politics now. Where do you stand and why? Where do you?
For me, this is my opinion.
Hey, where do you stand? And then you got for me and for me and for me. This is my opinion. Now this is politics.
For now, I'm not standing with any of the three. for now, as of today.
Okay, but you made, but that contradicts the statement you made just about 2 minutes or thereabout ago, that you're standing with the lesser of the
I'm
three
making
evils.
that statement from an informed perspective because, you know, there are some meetings I've been privy to, which I may not be able to explain into details, but the little I can say, give out of those meetings is that when I mean where people are preparing, these people, they do not only just prepare, but have been able to, how would I say, even try to foresee into the future, so to say. So I don't want to be quoted or taken out of context.
Oh my! I've been doing this for ages. I've only found maybe one or two difficult members of the panel like you, because you've been speaking for about 3-4 minutes. I can't actually pick out. I mean, you're a politician. Let's just put it that way. You've just
I'm not trying to be careful, not to be taken out of context. But for me, I'm not for any of the three for now.
Okay.
Really. But the issue is, at least for the things I can see within and around me, for now, Bat seems to have Bat seems to have a how would I put it now? A place ahead of the two, ahead of articulate and the obedience.
Finally. Oh my! Finally, at least we land. Okay, look, where are you going? Are you going to Ibadan? Oh no, you know there are people already. You know there's some people who live in Maiduguri. There are some in Port Harcourt, and you know Katsina is dangerous now. You know, so where are you going? You know what? You know the motorway is bad from Lagos to Ibadan. Oh God! And finally, the lady landed and said, "You know what? I am for now in my heart, in her heart, that it does appear that Bat seems to be ahead. You know, so we know where you stand. Just like a gentleman called Shola Fayemi. I don't know if any of you knows that man. That everybody knows he's a PDP man, but keeps saying, you know what, he stands nowhere. You know, gradually, you know, by their fruits. What does the word of God say? By their fruits, we shall know them.
I'm not satisfied at all, no.
but you are support. But for now, you know, that's fine. Don't worry. But for now, that's who you vote for. Thank you so much. This is getting interesting. Barrister Richard Mon, please just get ready there. Just be ready. We'll come to you. Let me go to TJ. Let me go. We'll come to you.
Okay.
So let's go.
Yes, let's go to TJ. Let's go to TJ. Yeah. But please, Mr. Convener, please, before Barrister come on board the second time, I have some fundamental questions that I need to justify on how Asiwaju is going to, you know, find solutions to those national problems that we currently encounter in the country.
Fantastic. So before I call him, that thanks for saying that, so that rather than let him talk and then we now start going into questions again, you know, don't forget, look, and this is to tell all of you, by the time he comes in the second time, that's in the absence of any other major speaker, main speaker. By the time he comes in the second time, I'll probably give him like 20 minutes and you're free to interrupt him with questions. Please do it respectfully. But as he's talking, you can say, no, I disagree, and then you put your point across and then he'll be able to talk to you. So, but let's go to TJ. TJ has been waiting there for quite a while. TJ, if you're not in the mosque praying now, because I know right about now he goes to the mosque. TJ. Okay, I believe we probably can't have him. I think he's in the mosque to the best of. Okay, let's
No. Hello.
Oh, you're there now. Okay, let's hear from you on this.
Yeah, good evening all.
Good evening.
I actually stepped out of the mosque just to be a part of this. And I want to say that Comrade Shola Fayemi came up with the exact characteristics embedded in Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As far as Nigerian politics is concerned now, and as far as the people contesting, it remains the best option. He has done much. Now, I want to align 101% with Barrister Richard. Amongst the number of people contesting currently, when we look at individual that's built others, the individual that has also sacrificed. I saw a picture of him with an MK Abiola when MK Abiola was invited by Sani Abacha of Babangida. The picture is online, and Tinubu threw everything online. He was even ready to die so that democracy will be attained in this country. The fundamental question I want to ask our people who are in support of other candidates is that they should tell us, where were these people prior to 1999? What were their contributions into the body politic of this great nation? How many people can they point to? Bola Ahmed Tinubu can point to the vice president of this country. Bola Ahmed Tinubu can point to the Senate president of this country. Bola Ahmed Tinubu can point to the speaker of this country. Bola Ahmed can mention a lot of so many ministers, even though some of them have decided to do what they like now. But we know that without Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they wouldn't have gotten into that office. Bola Ahmed Tinubu can speak about uncountable number of Senate and House of Rep members, both those who came from our end here in the southwest and in the north. We saw one of the senators who said that when he didn't know how to go about it, he had to see Bola Ahmed Tinubu for sponsorship, and he is in the Senate. It means that it's an individual who is really prepared. Who amongst them is as much as prepared as Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Who as much as them who left office and still having a say in governance in Nigeria, even when the PDP were in government during Jonathan's era? Bola Tinubu was a factor, and he was being considered for so many things. It means that for anyone to start thinking otherwise or planning to do any other thing, it's a joke, because he has paid his dues and he's still paying. Let us look at other candidates. They left office, somebody left office as a vice president of this great nation. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen his hand on any politician. They should come out and tell us. Secondly, does it even augur well that if Hausa Fulani is leaving an office and we want to support another Hausa Fulani into the office again? We should look at it. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Though I was saying on radio yesterday that there are some people who are more Nigerian than some of us, because decisions are made from a certain section of this country. So if we want to continue worshiping those people, because if you take anything to the Senate, for example, you need a number of people from the north to be able to sail through. If you go to House of Reps, it's the same. I want just to note that this was the reason why Bola Ahmed Tinubu decided to create the LCDs in Lagos State, to increase the number of representation, so that there will be a robust discourse in the National House of Assembly. So the man is already prepared. The man has what it takes. He has the intellect. He has built. We know. So I am happy that the secretary, the SecGen, came up and stated all those things that are embedded in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so it's a product that one needs not to really suffer to sell, or not to stress his or herself to sell. He has what it takes. He has done it. He's doing it, and we believe we will do it. Go to the diaspora. Those in the diaspora know the truth. You know that when we talk of people contesting, we have the contestants, we have those who are just contesting for the sake of it, and we have those who really meant business. Somebody was not even able to come up with a manifesto, and he said his manifesto is they should pick them from what he has said. The state where he ruled, he does not even have a base there. The man, he was not even able to stay in the state where he ruled. He lives in the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Lagos. And so it is very, very clear that people want to contest for the sake of it, which makes it much interesting, because it is very important that other people, if at the end of the day, people say, oh, it's only Bola Ahmed Tinubu, unanimously nobody's contesting against it, then it ceases to be politics. And so we are enjoying it at the game as it's ongoing now. But the fact of the matter remains that, sir, the convener happens to be a mentor way back in school. And I still refer to him most of the things that I do. Because I remember that day you came into my hostel. You discovered me. You came into my hostel as well as Comrade Ojo Victor came. But I saw what I wanted in you. And I aligned with you. And so Bola Ahmed Tinubu has discovered a lot of talent for this country. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done so much. Yes, the vice president is an orator. He speaks very well. He's intelligent. He's a lawyer. He's brilliant. But that would have remained in the class if you were not. If he was not. Identified. If the talent was not allowed to see the light of the day. We have people in the classes who are far intelligent, but they are there. They remain in the same environment, and so we should appreciate that individual who has gone out there to pick these people. Look at the people in government today. Almost all of them are people from the southwest, southeast, and etc. They are people who has passed through the school of Bola Ahmed Tinubu politics. And so, whether anybody likes it or not, we should just be, sincere with. Let us look at their pedigrees. I always talk about it. Where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? What is your destination? What are your intents? What are your intellect? What are those things that you want to bring on the table? Asking all these questions, I believe that, except that majority of them go online to insult him, to bully him, and etc., we have not seen programs. Let them come up with programs. The only individual who has come up with a blueprint on how he intends running his administration is Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so let others also do the same. And so I want to say that those of us who are thinking otherwise should rather decide and let us face reality on ground and support our own. Thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. That's director, and that's a regional director and one of our very highly respected activists in the house. Thank you so much. Thanks for. I know every time you always make reference to that mentorship, but we give God all the glory. Thank you so much. And it's I should also be talking about you. You know, you're one of the graduates from our school of activism, school of mentoring, school of human rights. One of the finest graduates of all. One of those that we can actually beat our chest. We can say that we trust this one, and we know that. Of course, nobody is infallible, but at least we can always say we trust this one, and we know this one will not eat off the king's table. Thank you so much, comrade Tijani Fatai. So you may go back to the mosque for your prayer. Thank you for joining us, and we'll probably still call you. So just keep an eye on your device. Thank you. Okay, so very quickly, because Richard Mond is still the main man again. So we'll quickly go to Aluko. Give Aluko 5 minutes. Give Ayele 5 minutes, and then I believe Toluda Amola has come in the house. We don't know where she stands, So, and then we need to go back to Richard Mond for the. So let's come to you, Michael Aluko. Michael Aluko. Okay, we need to jump over because of our time, because we want to ensure that, because we're closing this today. It's not like we're reopening it maybe second or third week in January, whereby it will just be about 1 month or a few weeks to election. Then we can actually take it up again. But for now, we just okay. I don't know who's joined with the iPhone. We just have iPhone there. So could you indicate? Send us a chat. Send a message in the chat so we know who you are. But for now, we just let's go with Comrade Lukman Ayole. Let's give him 5 minutes. Then give Tolu 5 minutes, and then that should be it. We'll go back to Richard. Okay, so Lukman.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, my convener. Good evening, house. Yeah. It's a wonderful night. If you remember, sir, we asked them some questions yesterday which they could not answer. And the question was, they should tell us what their candidate have done. The likes of Atiku and the Peter Obi. They should tell us what they have done. They have no answer. That's why they're all shaking out. I'm challenging them. They should come back again. If truly they believe in those candidates, they should come and tell us what they've done. See, Nigeria is not a playing field where somebody can just wake up and because you start riding on people's emotions because Nigeria issues, we need an experienced individual to tackle and solve the issue. We need people that understand what it takes to build. We need people that understand what it takes to invest in humanity. Yes, they are billionaires. They claim to be billionaires. Others like Tinubu, the article and the Obi, they claim to be a billionaire. But they should tell us one or two persons they've invested on in Nigeria today. Let them come out. We all can see what Tinubu has done. Tinubu was there doing ADECO. He was supportive to the struggle. And after the struggle, when he had the opportunity to become Lagos State governor, if you look vividly, if we can remember, sir, he came on board with one or two of these people who are in the forefront of the struggle. I could remember Faleke. Faleke is now an House of Rep member. Faleke was once a local government chairman. He was part of the struggle. He was one of the journalists then during ADECO that joined underground struggle. He brought them on board, and many people like that. So this man has the capacity. He has everything it takes to become Nigeria president today. He has done his best. He has sacrificed. Let's take Lagos for example. When he came to Lagos, Lagos was dirty. Lagos was full of, I said it last week. We were every night you'll be scared to sit in front of your house in Lagos. Well, those that live in Lagos can testify to this. You just be hearing shooting here and there from armed robbers, whatever. But Tinubu was able to give Odua People's Congress the opportunity, because when the security failed us, these people came on board and they started going after all these bad boys. And it was easy for them to phase them out, even if not completely, but at long run, we were able to get the necessary peace and security we want as at then. We have many things that he has done. We have periods within 2 years where Lagos State was not paid, did not get federal allocation. But within that 2 years, he was able to look inward and think of what to do. I'm telling you, within that 2 years, Tinubu as a governor did not owe any civil servant a single salary. All civil servants' salary were paid. My mom retired as a civil servant, and I'm saying it, and I want anybody to tackle me on this. But recently, we had issues of many states because of cuts in their allocation that they could not pay salary. We have states that are even paying half salaries. So when we say the experience is there, the capacity is there, it's because we knew what he has done. Look at in Lagos State today, and I always say it and I will say it again, if you want to win Lagos State from Tinubu, any party, they should go and start from beginning. As far as that man is still living, because when Lagos State started, he expanded Lagos State. He gave them 20 local government at 36 FCDAs. In those
Okay, you have just 1 minute more. You know, you're not one of the main speakers, so just 1 minute.
1 minute more. Okay.
Is the main and
so
it's the main speakers
today now,
that have the 10
most
minutes.
of these are progressing. No problem, sir. No problem. Let me leave the floor for them. We want others to come and tell us what their candidates have done. So I'm here, sir.
Thank you so much, Comrade Lukman Ayole. Thank you so much. We're really grateful to have you. You know, so for me, the shock is actually because in the background I see quite a lot of arguments in favor of Peter Obi, in favor of Atiku, in favor of what is really going on. Why are people afraid to actually either articulate their views or, you know, make others obedient in terms of their force of argument, you know, but that's fine. Richard Mond is waiting there, but like we just want to ensure every other person, we still don't know who is connected with the iPhone. So I'm just going to, so 5 minutes to Tolu now, and then 5 minutes to D1. And then the remaining part of the time, maybe about 20-25 minutes will be for Richard Mond. Since there's nobody else who is confident enough to come and argue their point. So let's go for Tolu. You have the floor for 5 minutes. So I've started timing you now, and D1 will take over after you.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah. I don't know where I felt this was between people supporting candidates, and my position is pretty much knocking down every candidate. And I came in just before my brother, you know, Comrade Ayole started speaking, and I listened to him and I was literally smiling throughout. Tinubu did not build Lagos. Let's just set that one straight. I hate hearing that campaign about Tinubu building Lagos. Lagos was before Tinubu. And talking about the security, the cleaning up of Lagos during Tinubu, what's the meaning of that one? That guy came in and turned all the touts. He wore uniform for the touts. I live in Lagos too. The thing with Lagos is that the side that faces you is the side you can speak of. I don't have a problem with anybody supporting any candidates. But you see, one of the best campaign lines that I would tell anybody supporting Tinubu to give. Yeah, you could, if they say he was chopping money, tell them he did not, at least he came in with the money he chopped from abroad. He's not among those chopping money and carrying it out. Let me give you campaign lines. Don't come to everybody telling us Tinubu cleaned up Lagos. Cleaned up Lagos for what the Fashola do? Don't take the activities of those who came after him and turn it to his own. Don't commonize the achievements of those who were before him just because you want them in power. Let us stop messing up our own history every time election comes around. See, Tinubu did what he did. Nobody, I will stand and tell people I would not malign his character because of election is coming up. There are good things Tinubu has done as a philanthropist, as whatever, but you cannot deny that he has a questionable character and he has never been able to sit down in front of anybody and defend his character. And that is questionable to a lot of people. It might not matter to you because you are seeing it from the positive side, but it matters to some of us. OPC that you're talking about, they were literally used to bully people now. They became the legal Omonile. There was a case of child abuse we had to intervene in. One of their members said one child offended him. The next thing, they took him to their convent. It took the intervention of other civilians to come in and break that boy out. We took that boy straight from there to the general hospital. That happened right, in fact, I can give you the address of where the incident happened. So when you talk about these things, I tell people that your experience can decide your candidates, not a problem. But do not undermine the feelings of others because you are trying to push your candidate. That is the same inhumanity that the leaders are trying to push that I do not appreciate. And it is one of the reasons I do not even stand with any of the candidates. Tinubu is a philanthropist. Good for him. He's not the only philanthropist we have in Nigeria. If he had contested as a president maybe in 2015, I might have voted for him. But I'm not going to vote for an 80-year-old man claiming to be 60-something. With no credible thing to back it up. Lagos is a state that if you bring in an idiot, Lagos will function. For goodness sake, we used to be the capital. And so Lagos is designed to function regardless of who is there. They talk about the master plan of Lagos. Was it anybody that gave you the master plan? Go and check your history well now. Let's stop messing up our history just because we want somebody in power. So please, let me first address that one. On that one, Tinubu, the only issue I have with Tinubu, I've always said it. I cannot have somebody who is barely able to stand on his own running for president, especially when he's running with somebody like Shettima as a vice. Voting Tinubu right now is equivalent to voting Shettima, because whenever he goes on medical trip, Shettima will be your president. I cannot have Shettima as president. Therefore, I cannot vote Tinubu as president. Case closed. Every other thing you guys are pointing out, except Tinubu is going to sit down and answer the 1,001 questions that Nigerians generally have for him, including those that are saying Tinubu, well, I'm not willing to even look at his side. You talk about how Peter Obi, I've always said it, he's riding on the emotions of people.
Please round up 30 seconds more.
Yeah. Obi is riding on people's emotions. If you are supporting Atiku, you are supporting privatization, it's all your choice. All the candidates, none of them is pure. If you like, clean them till tomorrow, none of them is pure. There would always be something with all of them that makes them inappropriate as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tolu. That's I'm sure someone somewhere will give. No, this is not the time. No, not yet. So you would have the time to be able to address some of those things. Don't worry. Like I know you're ready to go, but don't worry. You'll be able to. We need to just don't worry. You'll be able to address it. And of course, this is one of our Luther women. You know, obviously. She's just shredded everybody out there, you know. So, and my job is pure moderation, so I'm not really involved in the conversations. The only thing I'll just point out is not all idiots can govern Lagos, and whether Tinubu did anything or not is it's for the panel to talk about, not for me. But those who would remember the time. You know, when Colonel Olagunsoye Oyinlola was military governor of Lagos State, it was an unrivaled disaster. It was a terrible disaster. And in fact, it took about, for the first 1 year or thereabout of Buba Marwa, you know, the whole Lagos was up against him because it was almost like a total failure. Chief Michael Otedola, the father of the big Otedola we'll talk about today, you will find it difficult to point at anything that Baba did in his time, as of course the time was curtailed by the military government of General Sani Abacha. But of course you'll be hard pressed to be able to point to anything that he did in that time. So it is totally incorrect to say anybody can. Those who say that, they don't really know Lagos very well. Not anybody can govern Lagos. We've had loads of Lagos, and the military administrator who cancelled the metro line that Alhaji Jakonde put, was it Mudashiru, or what was his name? Who cancelled the metro line that the venerated Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde LKJ put in place. He was a failure as well. So there have been, I believe Lagos has even had more failures as governors than successes. Well, until, you know, so that's that. But I leave the argument now. So let's go to D1. After D1, then we give the floor to Richard Mon, and then all of you can. It's a free for all at that point. Richard Mon, we have the floor. Oh, we have Richard's Jimo. Oh, who's just joined? I'm just seeing that. Wow, that means we're struggling for a bit of time, but that's fine. I should be able to accommodate 5 minutes for D1 and Richard's Jimo, but anybody else who comes in after that would not really have the pleasure of that. So D1, let's have you 5 minutes. D1, over to you. So you stop at 24 past the hour. D1.
Good evening, the convener. Good evening, everyone on the call.
Good evening.
I'm just wondering why the convener is also not letting us know that he stands with Tinubu, because each time people speak about Tinubu, you know that you pick his side of him.
Last week, but then it was you against convener, and you come against me.
Thank you, Dayo.
Thank you. You mentioned Tinubu. It's something, maybe it's because of Lagos Island connection, but then it is what it is. But then I'm also going to.
Okay, you know what? The convener will shock you today. When you accuse me of that, I will shock you that I actually spent more of my time. Somehow I only did a bit of my nursery primary school in Lagos. I actually spent most, and I can say this in public, I'm very proud of those schools. I went to a school called Children's Home School for my primary school. It was a boarding house in Molete there in Ibadan. From there, I proceeded to Federal Government College of Bomosho for 6 years. So that tells you I spent most of my time, and that state is controlled by the PDP today. So you can, if you want to actually accuse me in terms of where I stayed most of the time studying, you actually say, or you say I'm a PDP
I didn't say you said that, but I'm not. Saying that there's always a reason why people tend to be affectionate towards one. I said probably because of that connection.
At the end of the day, I am more than, but today I don't want to take the time of those who should actually be having the floor. But you know what? Look, those who know me very well will tell you that I don't. In fact, you're making my day when you let me, because there are loads of things I've heard in the last few weeks that, number one, a lot of them are actually false. And a lot of them are actually made up. A lot of them are actually fairy tales. And so what you would have me do in that case is actually floor quite a lot of fake arguments. Do you get what I'm saying? So you don't really want to draw me into this. Trust me. You don't want to draw me into this. Trust me.
No, it's fine.
So, but your time is counting anyway.
One of the things I just asked
your time is counting. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, but you know what? If all of you feel so strongly about it, maybe you can. I don't mind. You maybe next upper week, we throw it. Then it will now be. I can be the guest speaker, maybe. And I'm more than happy, trust me, so I know enough about those candidates. I'll tell you, when Obi was governor, by that time, I was already out of the university, I was already working, so I know a lot about him. When he was chairman of Guardian Express Bank, I can tell you a lot that I know about him. When he was Guardian Express Insurance, and then he was chairman of Fidelity Bank. I had a lot of friends working in Fidelity. I know enough to tell you. And if you were asking me about Atiku, I was one of those who were on the streets. I was arrested. Many people were arrested in fighting. Many student leaders were arrested, fighting for June for the actualization of the June 12/1993 mandate of Chief MKO Abiola. So, and the role Atiku played during that period, I can tell you, and I can tell you what I know about the privatization program, which is not secret. And of course, many people might not know that it was Atiku that brought El Rufai and into government, introduced El Rufai to Obasanjo, and El Rufai became one of his biggest enemies. And the guy pointed out loads of corruption, especially and many of you might not even know. Some of you might just have known El Rufai as chairman of FCT president. But you know what? He was actually in the Bureau of Public, that was responsible for the privatization of public enterprises. So, and if you're asking about Tinubu as well, I know a lot about some of the. When he was in government, I was old enough, and I was right there in Lagos. So I know quite a lot, and trust me, you don't want to bring me into it, because quite a lot of the arguments on social media, they're sentimental. And this is not me disrespecting anybody, but I found out, someone came to me one day and said, he doesn't even want to argue. He found out the guy he was arguing with on the other end was just 16 years old. And I kept quiet. And then when you look at the demography of the age of those who are supporting candidates, you find those who are supporting Obi, for example, they're mostly in their 20s or early 30s. Go then add it together, because Obi was governor of Anambra State up to 2014. So you're looking at 2006 to 2014. And so if you're removing that time from now, and you just see that quite a lot of those people were actually either infants, or maybe they were little, or they were not old enough to. For me, there are 4 governors in the race, 4 in the main candidates, 4 people who were elected governors. And many people are even saying this. The other day, someone talked about Atiku governor, and the one of the quote and unquote most respected internet influencers in Nigeria, and the person was arguing, Atiku was never governor. And I was just laughing. There's so much ignorance all around the place. And I don't blame people because a lot of those people were not even old enough to know. Atiku was actually elected governor of Adamawa State in 1999. But he was never sworn in because Obasanjo asked him to be his deputy, his vice to run for, so basically there are quite a lot of things that personally, if I had that liberty, I would love to say, but the path I've chosen is to just stay quiet, let all our members feel free to, to argue their points, just have the fun of it, be able to marshal it, and just let me be neutral. But I can assure you that all the three candidates, of all the four major candidates, three of them were sworn in as governors. And you've got to, first of all, look at their antecedents as governors. Then you've got to look at their background, because I do not agree that people cannot dig into anybody's background. If your background doesn't check out, people have to ask you questions. People have to see. And then all the offices that you occupied, what have you done in office? And for example, people have also accused Tinubu of cornering the Lagos Commonwealth. He's got to defend himself around that as well. And my greatest worry is that, and I said this to a very popular obedient person yesterday, and I said, you know what? I believe this movement is actually the greatest disservice to Peter Obi, because nobody has ever become president of Nigeria without a coalition across parts, across religious lines, across ethnic lines, across class or economic divides. You cannot, there's got to be those handshakes across those divides, handshake across the Niger, handshake across the generational divide, handshake. But you now have a situation whereby the youths who are really fronting for him, they've actually frightened off everybody else. They frightened off everybody else. And I will always say this, Obi, I do not see anything. I do not agree with those who try to point at Obi as a bad man. He's not perfect. For example, he put government money in his family business card. But Obi, I've seen him as a good man. Do you get what I'm saying? But he's the head of a group that you dare not disagree with. You dare not have a contrary opinion against. You dare not. The only thing for your safety, for your own son, is to agree Nigeria is in trouble. You see loads of the older generations who are actually, they're actually more fed up with Buhari, with Tinubu, with Atiku than the younger generation, because they've suffered under these people. They are actually more fed up, trust me. They are actually more fed up. But all of a sudden, they're now saying, you know what? It would appear that, in fact, these people that were still complaining about, they are better than these ones that are coming. And that is the greatest danger to Peter Obi. For me, I am seeing if that man, he might win in 20. I'm not one of those who will say he cannot win. Why not? He can. Any of those candidates can win. Anything can happen. But if he doesn't win in 2023, I think what we're going to have is a damaged candidate that no party even wants to touch or field because of his supporters. And I believe an Igbo man will be president at some point, but it will be someone else, more moderate, having more moderate supporters people will not be afraid of, because you have people that they are even afraid of your supporters. For me, I don't want to live in a country where I cannot disagree. I don't want to live in a country where if the day I share a contrary opinion to you, I am intimidated, I am threatened, I'm threatened, I am harassed, it is frightening. It is that frightening. So if anybody, I would actually expect us to start thinking more about those things. And they say the man dies in him who keeps quiet in the face of, in fact, I will actually call it fascism, because this is fascism right now. So everybody, from what I've said, you should know that I have talked about the man. Being a man, I cannot point at anything against, but I've also talked about the candidates who seems to be the head of a mob. He is not, get me right, he's not the head of a mob, but that is the picture from afar that, you know what, is either, and let me say this, go and write this down, everybody. Write this down. The person I'm most frightened for is actually Ahmed Dati, the vice presidential candidate. Go and write it down and say, I predicted it today. If Obi does not, and it's a big if, he might win, he might not win. But if Obi does not win in 2023, oh my God, the obedience would descend on him and call him useless, that he was not able to pull his weight, that he was the reason that the man would be in deep trouble. That is university. You will need security guards there. You know, because I feel really frightened by Obi, that because because that is the propensity of the obedient movement. You know, it's either, you know, they get the maximum out of you or you're dead, you know. So I hope that answers to some extent a little bit of some of those questions. Trust me, you don't want to get me involved in this conversation. I know enough. I'm an activist. I'm someone who has been arrested by DSS, and I'm saying this not to blow any trumpet or anything, because I have other ex-student union leaders here, and they would have gone through the same fate or even worse fate than I've been arrested. I suffered. I did so much and I also joined elders, respected activists on the streets. We followed Olisa Agbakoba as one of the arrowheads of the campaign against military rule. We followed Mrs. Ayobe. We followed some Joe Odumake. You know, so I know a little more than quite a lot of the ignorant arguments that are just flying all over the place. D1, let's give you two more minutes, you know, and then we'll go to Richard straight away.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I'm not really on the side of any candidates for now because of what I've said. I've always...
I think his connection is bad because he dropped out before and he's back again, you know, so, and that thing has come. D1?
This opportunity to express my displeasure in some of the leading candidates, and the first being the Bat movement itself, because I feel at this age, somebody like him should just be supporting a younger candidate. I tell you, if somebody like Oshibajo had emerged, it would have just been the APC would have just won me over. But people trying to attribute certain glories to Tinubu, I think it is just unfair to the likes of Lateef Jakonde and all that. If we were to have a government that was serious in relocating, either ensuring that other ports in the country were to be functional, all of those things that Lagos is enjoying, you will just see how it would easily shrink. Because in the first place, cost of living is high and all that. But then we continue to concentrate more infrastructure in Lagos because the government of the day, as in when I say the government, I mean the northern region, would rather come into an alliance with the West than to go into an alliance with the East. You understand? So that's just it. Probably because the West is more receptive and all that. But if all of this, because the Nigerian politics is still drawn along religious and ethnic lines, and these are the reasons why we have to be careful in who emerges. And you know, somebody like what's his name, Dele Momodu, was actually the first person to say, oh, this Tinubu's manifesto of a thing and all of that campaign document is word for word that's which Abiola tried to do. I do not doubt that because it was close to everything that happened at the time. It's possible he's privileged to have some of those documents and all that. And you know, in science, when you do some of these things, you have to acknowledge the author and all that. But you to just lift and plagiarizing other people's works, slogans and all that, it shows you that this man in question has a dubious character. And of course, if the dog does not see, the dog does not bark. All of these things that have been what he's been accused of and all of that, there are reasons for it. I'm sure if we dig down to the root of there would be something that is incriminating, something that is trying to run away from and all that. But then the West, who should have actually helped us, they cannot help us because they are looking for anybody who is going to do their bidding. We see what they did with Robert.
Okay, thank you. Because of our time, because of our time.
All right,
you
no
still
problem.
have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stay there, Oladayo, and it's so that we can, you still be able, because now we're going to reach Amon, and it's a free-for-all session right now. And this is one of the reasons why I say you don't want to get me involved. Trust me, if I was Tinubu's or Obi's or Atiku's spokespersons, in fact, you've given me a lot of room to even attack straight away, to even, straight away, because a lot of things, and that's why I say you don't want to get me involved in this argument. It's best, just leave me on the outside. Because by now, you know me, I like the factual things. And that's why when Bukola I said, where do you stand? We need to, thank you so much, Oladayo. You're always very rich when it comes to your arguments. Up till now, you've not told us who you support, but I know you have this very strong feeling, and you're very entitled to your, you have every right to hold that opinion, especially you've spoken again and again against the Muslim ticket. A lot of people, some don't feel it's a big deal, but you feel very strongly about it, and we respect that. Thank you so much, Oladayo. So now we call back Richamo, and then, like I said, it's a free-for-all now. So I'll call Shalafayemi to ask his questions, and Richamo goes on, and then all of you, it's a free-for-all until 5 minutes to the hour when we should be rounding up. So over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Convener. For me, I want to appreciate Richard's brilliant submission, and likewise as corroborated by TJ and some of other comrades who have also spoken in support of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But my point is this, please, I want everybody here this night who are rooting for Tinubu to tell us, it's a laudable thing that Tinubu has been able to sustain his political stamina, his political tentacle since 1990, since 2007, when he left being the governor of Lagos State. But I want them to tell us in clear terms the source of revenue, the source of income of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and what he has been doing since 2007 that has given him that financial muscle to have gotten that relevance and financial stability to now. 1, 2, all of us understand how sensitive the nation is in terms of insecurity and what have you. I want our brothers who are supporting Asiwaju to tell us in clear terms the plan of Asiwaju, to curb insecurity, bearing in mind that he's a principal actor to the enthronement of the APC-led government that we currently have right now, and what APC have been able to, to do, and the level of division, the level of insecurity we've had over time. And thirdly, because I remember in 2019, Asiwaju was one of the key principal factors who was on podium in conjunction with Muhammadu Buhari and the host of others to promise Nigerians that 5,000 naira we always paid on a monthly basis to the unemployed graduates and youth in the country. What is going to do to erase that, that notion from our mind? And the last question is this. I remember also in 2019, because as it is right now, we only be deceiving ourselves. If you look at the political structure and how democracy is being structured in this country, we cannot treat in isolation the role of the party flag bearer away from the contributions of the party in which that person is flying, on. Now, all of us can attest to that fact that APC has disappointed us in this country in the last 7 years. 65% of the promises they made to us in 2015 are yet to be fulfilled. Looking at security, looking at economy, looking at education, health sector, and some other variables that are noticeable initially that we can easily pinpoint to. APC has greatly failed us as a country. How is Asiwaju going to justify and tell us again that this same APC who have failed to deliver the dividend of democracy to Nigerians in the last 7 years, is the same party is going to bring on board to right the wrongs and to put on a better pedestal of prosperity. Thank you, sir.
In fact, the Shalafa really means business, because if someone has used 4 or 5 minutes to ask questions, you know, the person who is going to answer is in trouble. So, like I said, this is free for all. Richard, over to you. But please, everybody, this is free for all now. You won't even hear me. You won't see me for the next 20 minutes. Please take the floor. Over to everybody. So, Richard, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Convener. Thank you, Sholafa Yemi. I must mention again, thank you for bringing me on board once again. Before I answer the question of Sholafa Yemi, I was trying to highlight the reasons why I've made the decision to follow or to pitch my tent with that of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, you know, I mentioned about 4 points which borders on the personality and leadership quality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me highlight them again before I add my 5 other points. Before I now answer some of those questions. Number 1, I said of all the candidates, when it comes to stability and the certainty, Asiwaju stands out as number 1. The only person who has not crossed carpets or who is not a political alert from one party to the other, who has given us the democracy as an opposition, which we have today, is the only person who is stable. Obi has moved from several parties. Atiku has moved from several parties. Every of the other counterpart has moved from several parties. It's only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, based on principle, that has remained in his party, which others has joined him to build a better Nigeria. If there's no APC today, our situation would have been of that of Somalia, that of Ecuador, that of Venezuela or Greece today.
Thank you, Barrister. I'm sure.
Please let me land. I'm trying to. Please let me. I will come to your question.
He bet APC, and he has been in APC, so his blood and veins are in APC. Thank you.
Yes, I will come to your question. Then number 2, when it comes to achievement in government, I told you that Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu is nowhere equal to any of the candidates that have been brandished by other parties. You know, Lagos of today is different from Obi of Anambra or Atiku of Adamawa or whichever state they may come from. Lagos as it today is where other tribe of Nigeria run to, and they seek refuge and they prosper. You know, I don't want to go into details of when it comes to achievement in government, both as a leader and in successive plan, in carrying out the master plan of Lagos today. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu stands tall when it comes to successive plan and achievement in government. And remember, like I told you earlier, nobody will collect or take from you your successor if you have not done well yourself. It is only when you have done well that you can say, oh, this is the person I'm handing over to.
Please, everybody, sorry, I'm not interrupting.
Sorry.
You can always unmute yourself and say anything when you want
Mr. Convener, exception to that, please. Can you tell me invariably that it was because Fayemi did well in Ekiti that made Bao to become the governor?
Please, Mr. Fayemi, let me just highlight my point. Then I want to negate
that point. That because you've done well, that is you can read
Mr. Fayemi. Mr. Fayemi,
did well. He gave you a
can you just hold on and let me just put my point together?
What about the cargo airport in Ekiti?
Can you just let me put my point together?
It's still coming.
Yes, I'm listening.
It's new.
You can put your successor into power. It is not a function of you that have done well that you can make your successor to come into place. So please, that is not a justification to say Asiwaju has done well.
Mr. Sholafa Yemi, let me just put my points together. You can jot down that you cannot pitch holes on anything I've said. But I'm telling you as of today, you cannot say that because he has not done well. Nobody has said that Tinubu didn't do well in Lagos. So if you are saying you are having an exception, we have said it. Not nobody said Tinubu didn't do well in Lagos. As a governor, he won twice the best governor of the year. You understand? So you can't say he didn't do well to have won the best governor of the year. And at the same time, so let us, if you are saying that, you see,
he generates the highest IDR. He makes the largest money. He has what it takes to become the best governor.
Mr. Sholafayemi, please, can you just allow me?
I will do better than him.
Can you just allow me to put my point together?
Was the governor in Lagos State, he will be the best governor 10 times.
If I were,
Mr. Sholafayemi,
let me just put my point together.
Tell us what Atiku has done. You are one of those soliciting for Atiku.
Please, can you let me put my point? Can you let me put my point together? My second point was that, yes, and I've made it. So if you now have any other reasons, then maybe let me just put all my points together. I have 11 points here. I've mentioned 4. I'm only trying to highlight the earlier 4 that I've mentioned. I'm still about to mention 5. Why I put my point better than Tinubu. If you now see reason why other candidates are better, then you cannot tell us why other candidates are better. It's not just about us making unnecessary diversions or making unnecessary arguments. It's about who is the best candidate. So if you think, oh, he wasn't the best,
he met on ground.
So please let me just articulate my points together. And number 3, when it comes to sacrifice for this country for democracy, Tinubu has sacrificed for this country. Like I said earlier, part of his sacrifice was his stability in remaining in PDP. I mean, remaining in AD, later AC, later APC. You understand? Which is the unified factor that created the strongest opposition that were able to at least upturn PDP. And that is why we have the country we have today. And our country has not turned to Somalia. That is what I'm saying. When it comes to sacrifice, that's why him being shunted. That's why being deprived of allocation from federal for more than 20 months. He stood his ground. That is number 3 points. Number 4 points, which I mentioned, was human capital. None of all these people you are mentioning or you are brandishing today has made human being, has made personalities, has made somebody, has turned human being to person of high caliber. When it comes to Tinubu, when it comes to leadership, Tinubu is the only person that's successfully been in government since 1999 to date. That has been unmuted, that has become a very big factor in Lagos. Not just in Lagos, across Southwest. Not just across Southwest, across the country. So I must tell you, when it comes to human capital, from the east to the west to the north and to every part of the country, Tinubu ranks number 1. Now, discredit that with any party, any of the candidates that you think has done better than him when it comes to human capital. And like I said earlier, that is why it's easy for him to go to Obi's backyard and raise 1 billion in less than 24 hours for campaign. And that's the way they're also raising it in every part of the country for him. It's because of what he has sold. That is number 4. Then number 5, I must tell you, when it comes to cerebral and mental capability, when it comes to when it comes to who can speak well, when it comes to who can address you well.
Actually, is mentally retarded. Blah blah blue.
Now.
3 times in 1 month. He's incoherent. He's grammatically unstable. He's mentally derailed. And you are telling us he can speak eloquently. Actually, without drought, he cannot present.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Stop selling what cannot be sold. There are campaign points, but don't even bring that one.
Right, sorry,
please.
Guys, guys, please. You know, somebody just said, hello, gentlemen and ladies. I just said somebody said, as Siwaju, who without drugs cannot function. This is a platform for us to,
Please, we are contrary candidates, please. Don't just talk out of the blue. The problem I'm having with Sholafayemi is that he's talking out of the blues. That's a candidate that is better than him. It's not just about passion or emotion. It's about who is better. Let us have that at the end of our mind, so that we can be able to do justice to this topic. It's not just about emotion. It's about all the candidates. Who is better?
I just have my popcorn and I'm listening to you guys. But the point is this: someone just said Asuwaju takes drugs, can we please
No,
leave
now why?
Star
No, let's
maybe
leave
it's
that
his
one out.
misuse of words. The person
Yeah,
actually
can we-
met
can-
in
No, no, no.
education.
Please, I will come back. Please, I will come down to
Okay.
that. Please, let me
Please,
just
forget
articulate
it.
my
The person
point.
is out of it.
Not
Yeah.
drugs.
Can somebody just allow me to articulate?
Mhm.
Let me articulate my point. All this issue of drug or no drug, I will come back to it. When it comes to cerebral and mental capability, we have listened to all of them speak. We know how Obi speak. We know how Atiku speak. All of other candidates, we know how they speak. And you cannot tell me if somebody make mistakes in about 1 or 2 times, it now means that the person doesn't reason well or talk well. That is your own opinion. To me, I've listened to all of them, and to the best of my understanding and the best of my decoding, Atiwaju, when it comes to addressing issues, Atiwaju addresses you better than any of them. All of that, Obi has been appealing to emotion. Nothing more, nothing to say. He has never addressed issue. He has been appealing to emotions. Atiku does not even have anything to say. So please, whenever we are addressing issue, let us have it at the back of our mind that is about best candidate, not just about arguments. Then that is my number 5 point. I've listened to all of them speak, and I can categorically say that when it comes to cerebral and mental capability, Asiwaju ranks number 1 among all the candidates who are the major candidates and major contenders. Then going to number 6. When it comes to financial capability, all of us know that election cannot be run by a pauper or somebody who doesn't have the wherewithal or the political or financial wherewithal. You know, Asiwaju is number 1 when it comes to finance. This is somebody that has built himself from the time he was working. As a chartered accountant, he became a millionaire in dollars before he assumed office as government. And he has not just been in this game. He has been in this game since in 1980s. We are aware of history. We are not people like Obi people. We know history. And when anybody we follow them to letter. You understand? Somebody who has been a millionaire when Naira has value, when dollar has value in the 1980s, in 1990s, and you're not saying that the person is a poor man. It's only a dummy that will be a millionaire in dollars about 30 years ago and will remain the same. Not to not mention that he has built on it. He has been the government on it. He has done so many other things. He has invested. So how can you not say that, oh, he's a poor man? So, like I was saying, when it comes to financial capability, you cannot compare any other candidate to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's the only person that can successfully finance election. When it comes to election, you understand? So that is another point. Now my number 7 point. When it comes to somebody who has the political wherewithal today, please, you please mute your mic, please. You are distracting, please. Somebody is distracting, please. Mute your mic if you must talk. My number 7 point. When it comes to detribalize and the religious leader, Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu is number 1. We have listened to all of them speak at various places. We know how Atiku was appealing to the Muslim that is their right to continue to lead. We know how Peter Obi has been appealing to Christians, Catholic Christians, to say that it's their position, they should take it back. Only Bola Ahmed Tinubu remains the one and only person who has a wife as pastors and children as Christian, and who himself is a Christian. So you cannot equate him with every other candidate when it comes to the tribalization and the religiosity of a country, to govern a country like Nigeria. You cannot in any way. So that is one of the reasons I'm pitching my tent with him. Then I will tell you again, when it comes to philanthropy or philanthropist work, you cannot measure Tinubu to any of all these candidates. You know, Tinubu is the one that has been making public donations to disasters, to people who are under disaster in this country. Atiku has been using his money to get tickets. He has been using his money to do whatever he wants. That's why the money is tainted with corruption. Obasanjo said it. I'm not fabricating facts. That the money he stole is enough to feed 300 people for 300 years. That means a lot. Until today, he has not come out to say that no, what Obasanjo said is incorrect. Instead, he admitted and was begging. So when it comes, even despite having corruption money, he has not used that money or channeled that money in the right source by helping the underprivileged. There are a lot of Amajiris in the north. He has not helped them. Tinubu is the only person that will go to a war and donate to people that were massacred, a Muslim donating to Christians, people that were massacred in a war. He will be the one to be in Damaturu or Yobe to donate to people who has disaster, one way or the other, either security issue. He will be the one to go to Kogi and donate 100 million to people who are flooded. You cannot equate him when it comes to spending money in the right way in a philanthropic manner compared to other candidates. You cannot. So, and I must say that Tinubu, you understand, ranks number 1. Then another thing, which is my number 8 or number 9 point, I can't remember now. You know, when it comes to let me say, when it comes to past achievements, you cannot take him out. You cannot take away. Now, let me address some of the issues and concerns that some of the Nigerians are now saying that, oh, because of this, he cannot rule. You know, you are just somebody to be a drug baron. Who is a drug baron? You know, before you can say somebody is guilty on an offense, in Nigeria, you must have taken him on to another the rigor of a legal offense, and he must have been convicted. If somebody was in opposition, even when he was no longer in government, you understand, he was in opposition for about how many years? And EFCC cannot arrest him and jail him, despite the fact that we are using EFCC to arrest oppositions and jail them compulsorily. He cannot be arrested and jailed all through those times. He cannot be whisked to Abuja and jailed. They are jailing other people. NDLA, despite the fact that he's in opposition, all through the time of Obasanjo, after, when Jonathan was in government, he cannot be invited and jailed. Despite the fact that he's in opposition. And in your own mind, in the campaign of calumny and character assassination, you believe that that kind of person is a drug baron, he's a thief, he has been stealing money. Then you need to ask your senses where it belongs. Because for you to say that somebody of that caliber who is standing out against others, you understand? Every other person, I remember when every other person were decamping, they were decamping because they were in fear that they would be witch-hunted. But he refused. That's why the fact that he doesn't have immunity any longer. He doesn't have anything. He refused to decamp. And in your own right sense, you believe that that kind of person is still supposed to be the person who is most corrupt, a thief. And the money he has stolen, you have not been able to tell us. He has not been convicted. The drug that he has carried, the drug that he has carried, you have not been able to tell us. Please, when we are addressing you, we are addressing you based on substance, not on speculation.
Wait.
As a lawyer, I'm trained. As a lawyer, I'm trained to address issue. As a lawyer, I'm trained to address issue based on facts, not on speculation, not on sentiment, not on what people are saying.
Very well.
Why is the accomplice when he carry drug? Why is the accomplice when he stole Lagos money? Why is the accomplice? Who among you were there when he carry Lagos money? Who among you were there when he carry drug? Did you use you or your sister to carry the drug? Did you put the drug in your stomach? So why you say he's a drug baron? Why you say he's a drug baron? Did you put the drug in your stomach, or in your sister's stomach, or your friend's stomach? Let anybody who has been a witness, who is a witness to this fact, let the person come out and say, I was a witness. You don't follow what people are saying. You don't follow what people are saying.
I want to quickly.
Now, let me address the issue of age. Let me address the issue of age.
During the last election,
2 years back. Remember, the superpowers of the world, from the US to Germany to France, all of them are either septuagenarian or octogenarian. It's in Nigeria that you will be appealing to senses.
Are we having a conversation or is it a shouting match? Barrister, please, you're not addressing those in your corridors of law. I mean, you have some international listeners here. Can you please just calm your nerves down, okay?
Yes,
please,
thank you.
Let's have a conversation and not a shouting match, okay?
Thank you. Please, I have the floor. Let people allow me to make my point. Then they can now. That will limit.
Let me just ask a question that we still want to react to.
I will address it.
Okay.
Now, let me talk about
the video of the Puyo Tolu and Dayo. I expected everybody to be fully participating in this, you know. So, but look, we've got just about 3-4 minutes more, you know. But it's been fun. But the way it has gone tonight, we will do it again. But but I'll probably yield the floor to another moderator maybe next weekend, you know. But so let's what barrister, usually the way it is, you should even when they want to ask questions or point things out, they should be allowed, you know, and then you carry on from there. But let's just do another 4 minutes and then we'll round it off. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I want to crave the indulgence of barrister to allow me react to the Shola Fayemi's questions about how Bola Ahmed Tinubu, became as wealthy as he is today. First and foremost, let me say that you would do well to tell us where an article worked apart from being a custom officer.
I have 4 questions. I have 4 questions.
I just want to pick that up. I'm leaving that to the remaining ones to the barrister. I said first and foremost, tell us what an article did apart from being a custom officer. And let me tell you that while Atiku was a custom officer at Umberi, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was an executive in ExxonMobil. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he told us when you guys were raising issues of how he made his money, etc., he said that he was already a millionaire in dollars before venturing into politics. That he invested into Apple. You are supposed to make your investigations. You don't come in. It's not compulsory that people just come after, because we have had a kind of a mindset that want to continue carrying it about. Do your investigations. He said he was already a millionaire in dollars before venturing into politics. And so if he mentioned Apple Choice as a place where he invested and got a lot of money. And you will also do well to tell us how he got the money to sponsor the Nadeco people in UK. He did that personally. And so if anybody is saying Tinubu this, Tinubu that, I think we should also dig into it. We should not just, because of our hatred for that personality, decide to just run things out there. But personally, like I said, Atiku was a custom officer, while Tinubu was a treasurer in Mobile. So if you don't know how he came about his money, I think you should pick that up. Secondly, he was that individual that said that he was already a millionaire in dollars. So if you don't, I think he said this more than 2-3 months ago. And by now, I believe that people should have gone out to tell us, yes, all he said were false. And so if you are not able to say that, I think we should move away from why we want a situation where we just thought that it is necessary for us to drag that man down at all costs without even having any evidences against him. The barrister just told you that he was in opposition all through his life, and despite the fact that even PDP stalwarts were being hunted into prison, Tinubu was not tried. And you can see a former EFC chairman following him about. He said he did everything within the country and outside to make sure that they discover Tinubu's financial improprieties. And they are not able to find any. And that is why that man remains, wherever you see Tinubu now, you see him there. And so I think that's enough.
Comrade TJ, we will need to draw a line under it for tonight. It has gone even further beyond.
Governor, with all due respect, sir, it appears that with the way this conversation is trending, I think you should allow more time and let people just have their feel.
I totally agree with you, but you know, look, we also have to be mindful of some people who always you'll see that we've been having more numbers since we've been very strict with time. A lot more are attending now, unlike when we used to overrun with our special guests, you know. But this is what I'm gonna do. Next Sunday, by the grace of God, the SecGen and Comrade Richards Jimo will moderate, and we're going to have the same topic again. Is that okay, everybody? So, Barrister Richard, in fact, I saw another side.
No,
oh, go on. Tolu wanted to point out something.
Able to comment. I like his input. Allow the SecGen to be available to engage.
Oh, okay. So the SecGen.
Okay, well, I will moderate then. I will moderate.
Okay, so you don't want the SecGen to moderate. Okay, SecGen, did you hear that? What's
you know, I don't really have a side. I'm also enjoying this discussion. So please don't pick the SecGen out. He's a principal for the PDP camp. It's essential that he's able to engage.
No, I'm not a PDP person. No, I'm not a PDP person.
You
are. Don't deny the PDP
member.
Okay, let me leave you out of party, but you're a principal at this, so just I want you in.
Yes, I'm a key stakeholder. Okay,
what about D1?
Exactly, so I want you in.
Okay, do you want D1 to be a co-moderator, or you think he's
D1
an interested party as well?
Yeah,
or you think he's an interested party?
Guys.
So can I just jocularly ask?
Okay, Richard Jimo, we've got to close now.
Okay.
So next Sunday, by the grace of God, we're going to do the same time, 6 to 8 p.m. Barrister Richard Jimo, please get ready. Let all the other speakers get ready. No, we have to go. Okay, just 5 seconds. Go on. Lukman, 5 seconds.
Yes. I just want to remind you that we won once again. We won last week, we won this week. We are expecting them next week. Thank you.
Who are those who won?
APC. Back to
At the end of the day, you are the one allowing everything to end without a conclusion.
Okay, please.
Divide and rule. Everybody divide it. You have won. There is no winning yet. The house is still divided. There is no winner yet.
Okay.
We're not divided though. APC has a larger at the upper hand here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Not even the APC.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will have to mute all of you at this point. Thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful one. Why have we not been doing this all along? All of a sudden, I'm seeing something I've not seen in a long time. Like I said, I want to thank Barrister Richard Alade. I want to thank all those who have joined us and some who have dropped off. I said Jen for the hard work in putting. You see me moderating this, but there's some people in the background. You have the CMD, you have the secretariat running around putting things together. I just present on Sundays, but they're the ones who do all the hard work. I really want to appreciate you. The Yorubas will say, when you say Balogun Dodondawa, it is not just the Balogun. There are also people behind the Balogun that makes him the Dodondawa. So I thank you for always making me the Dodondawa. I don't take it for granted. Thank you all our esteemed guests for joining. And thank you, D1, for always picking on me and tackling me during these. He's been the same person tackling me for the past 3 weeks. Thank you so much. It's been you've created a lot of fun with that as well. And for those, and I love the joy. The people are really engaged, but at the same time, it's been very respectful and been very fantastic. Next week Sunday, by the grace of God, Richard Jimo will sit in this seat. He will be the moderator. And you'll be in charge of the conversation, and we're going to do this all over again. God bless each and every one of you. Normally it's my section that rounds off, but people have accused him of being an umbrella man today. So they've so attacked my section. So I'm taking this over from him, but he's going to have more than enough room next week. Thank you so much, everyone. But you know what? My section will always be my section, irrespective of whether he's an umbrella man or an obedient man or a kwankwasia or a broom man. So section, 1 minute, close it.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Convener. I'm going to shout Plaidites. Next week, I'm going to speak for obedience. I will speak for me. So I want to sincerely appreciate everybody for joining us this evening, most especially our guest speaker, who spoke brilliantly for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I love Asiwaju, and interestingly, I supported Asiwaju to become the flag bearer in APC. So I sincerely like Asiwaju. So I want to appreciate everybody once again, and I wish you all a very great and fantastic new week.